Alright, guys, welcome to another edition of the Anything Wrestling Podcast. We are back here today. Unfortunately, today is not a triple threat. Today is a one-on-one. The commish is missing, but we got the Shant and Dan the Man. Dan, how you doing?
I'm good, and if you don't mind...
Oh, God.
Hello, my name is Dan the Man, and due to the absence of the commish, I will be the advocate of today's episode.
And I will be advocating that you can find all your favorite WWE programming only on the WWE Network for a non-negotiable but very reasonable price of only $9.99.
Today's episode also brought to you by WWE Champions, the mobile game with overly muscular superstars and Bejeweled.
I must say that they got Ronda Rousey's facial expressions just right.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I actually just downloaded the game. It's not too bad.
Really. Anyway, we are here to review WWE Hell in a Cell 2018 pay-per-view, once again brought to you by the WWE Network. Dan, what did you think of this pay-per-view? Because after it was done, I was like, you know what? It's not WrestleMania per se, but for our pay-per-view, I thought that it was decent and it kind of had its place.
Yeah, I'd say it was a decent little pay-per-view. Some of the conclusions were a little weird.
Yes.
Overall, most of the stories served their purpose well, and we'll talk more in depth about that as we go. But overall, enjoyability, I'd give it a solid 8-9. It was a good pay-per-view.
I'm right around there, definitely. One filled with surprises, unexpected moments. Anyway, let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. So after a pretty decent package video, we get to our first match, which is Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton. Jeff Hardy's very first Hell in a Cell match, where his dream came true because that was his ultimate dream, to have a Hell in a Cell match.
Makes 100% sense.
And inside a red cell, Vince McMahon felt like it's the 20-year anniversary and that we need to change things up.
This is your second longest match of the night.
How long is it in total?
24 minutes and 50 seconds.
It felt right around there, definitely. What did you think of this match? Because I think what WWE now is going for is for Randy's gimmick to be not to use the RKO.
Yeah,
because,
not the fan service.
Yeah, because he'll do that thing where he rallies up the crowd. I think he did it like once or twice on SmackDown. He rallies up the crowd, he pumps his fist into the ground, and then he'll do something else. He won't do the RKO.
Yeah.
Which I feel like works, and that's fine. Because that allows Randy to kind of be a little bit more sick and twisted and to think of other ways, which we saw in the match, him getting that screwdriver, which, by the way, guys, that's not really Jeff Hardy's ear. It's just plaster, and they fixed the ear up, and they, But what did you think of this match? Because I thought they used a ladder, and Randy was up in that level of, like, sick and twisted and not normal Randy. So what did you think of the match?
Overall, again, good match. It sold the story. Randy beats the hell out of Jeff for a decent chunk, and then you have the short turnaround where Jeff kind of gets to get his payback, legitimately puncturing a bunch of tiny holes into Randy's back with the studs of his belt.
And were those spikes on the belt?
I didn't see the belt, but
okay.
I felt like it was the one where it's like all those square studs.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that having that whip into your back probably still has enough force to like
puncture
a little bit. So you had that. You had a table, ladders, chairs,
TLC.
And then you have Jeff go up top. He goes up to the tall ladder where he doesn't have space.
I was thinking, I'm like, please don't try to jump off because you're going to hit your head and you're going to come crashing down.
Yeah.
I thought they were setting up a spot where Jeff goes on one ladder, Randy goes up the other, and he RKOs Jeff from the ladder to the table.
Yeah.
But no, we just see Jeff swing on the cell. He comes down, crashes, and kind of like what you said, like an abrupt end where Randy's like, count, and the ref is like, no, I can't count. After 10 seconds, finally he counts and Randy wins the match.
Yeah.
We don't know. I don't know if Jeff Hardy is actually injured or if it's just storyline.
Because they were building it up. They did the update halfway through the show. They're like, Jeff Hardy's at a local medical facility. He's been throwing up blood, blah, 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 which sounds really bad. Which is the point, because it's probably mostly to write him off for a little while. Whether he needs to heal something else or it's just to sell how badly Randy beat him up, even though technically it was what Jeff did to himself.
Yeah.
I didn't like that it was a normal splash coming off the cage because, in my mind, I can't blame them because I know it's spots like that they figure it out ahead of time.
Yeah.
But I didn't like that Jeff swings back, and he in real life wouldn't have let go of that cage because he saw Randy was not on that table anymore. But within and that's just a logic standpoint thing for me. But yeah, no, it looked bad. It looked like it looked like a car crash. They use that mention a lot.
Yeah,
but he legitimately just goes whoop, boom, and just stops moving.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh shit, is he okay? So here's hoping Jeff's actually okay, and if he is beat up, which I mean, Randy got the hell beat out of him. He lost a little chunk of skin from his thigh.
Yeah,
you could
welts
that.
And
yeah. So good on both you guys, because Jesus.
Again, SmackDown giving a really good performance both on pay-per-views and on the weekly shows. We move to our next match. This has got a sweet spot for both you and I.
It's too bad the commish isn't here to give his thoughts. Maybe we'll do a short segment on the next episode with him where we just say, hey, how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
But Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship runs 13 minutes, 50 seconds. Not as long as the previous match, but the women normally aren't given as much time.
Yeah.
I think they did a pretty good job with their time, though.
I thought this match was great, and I know we alluded to this, that it wasn't your traditional, a finisher and a 1-2-3 count. It was more unorthodox, like, I didn't see that coming, to the point where when that 3 count hits, you're like, what? Because you're once again, it's the era where you're expecting a bunch of finishers and whatnot.
It got, obviously not because it didn't have the same magnitude, but it had sort of a similar response from the audience as when Lesnar went over Taker, is because people didn't expect it to win or didn't expect the match to end off of that move.
Yeah.
And so when it happened, they're like, wait, what? Oh, shit. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, I like I said to you, I liked that they didn't do the traditional build-up to a natural selection, figure eight, or
Disarmer.
That they just kind of had your winner, who we haven't gone over yet, Becky Lynch.
There you go.
Catch Charlotte on a spear and just kind of roll it through into a pin.
Yeah.
So, interesting maneuver.
What did you think about Becky winning? Because I know you and I, we've talked about this. Because for a second, we're like, what if they hold it off until the Evolution pay-per-view? Yeah. And then Becky finally gets her moment there. But I honestly, for a second, I'm like, you know what? I'm happy for Becky winning because seeing the role that SmackDown has been on, I trust them. I trust that they can build this up and make it to whatever that it needs to be. But what do you think of that false handshake at the end where Charlotte extends her hand the wrong way and Becky just holds the belt up in front of her face going, you're not going to steal my moment. I got it. I got the title, and just walks out. I think it's at that moment where WWE has officially established that she's not a heel. She's still Becky Lynch. Yeah. She may be a little bit of an anti-hero, but she's doing things on her own terms. I
did read a thing earlier today about it where it says Becky is being considered a heel internally. I'm assuming just from a booking standpoint.
Yeah.
But that the actual styling of the character is much more in line with what we've discussed previously, the Stone Cold anti-hero tweener kind of booking. And I'm still happy with it. I think it was a good idea to not have her even give Charlotte the respect. If we're going in the direction of a Stone Cold type of character where it's like, nah, I'm just here to be the best. That was all I ever should have been doing, and that's all I'm doing now. Then that was the right way to go with it. Absolutely.
100% agreed. Moving on to our next match.
This one, hell of a match. This is your longest bout on the card. Tag team titles between Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre versus Dean and Seth.
Man, you and I, we've been okay, we're playing multiple advocates today. You and I have been an advocate for Dolph for so many years. Since Drew has come back, or even when he debuted, you and I have been advocates for Drew, Seth Rollins, and Dean, obviously. These guys just, man, match of the night, maybe?
Yeah.
I would go as far as to saying that. But I know that you and I, and as well as the commish, we're always in agreement that on this particular night, four of these guys should have been right next to Strowman and Roman in that 6-man Hell in a Cell match, which we'll get to later on. But it felt like, basically if those six were clumped together in that match, what we saw would have happened in the original match, because you had action on top of the cell, the ringside and whatnot. But and I love the way this match finishes, because for a second I'm smelling a curb stomp and a 1-2-3 victory here, but completely out of left field, you get a Claymore right before the Falcon Arrow, and it's a 1-2-3. Tell me what you thought of this match.
So, like you're saying, probably match of the night. Now, I'm looking at the rest of the card, and I think it is. I think it is the match of the night, because I don't think any of the things that came after this outdid it. Because you got the 2 title matches, you got the Daniel Bryan Miz match, and you got the women's title match with Ronda.
Right.
I just don't think any of those stood a chance after this. It was pretty clean. The ring psychology was on point with this match, and then the fact that you just have 4 really talented guys in there together. I'll concede to you. I think you could have done, especially because of the fact that you brought the 4 of them out anyway for the main event. You might as well have just had them there and then had them escape the cage and do all the shit that they did anyway. But I'm also happy we got this match because it was a good match.
Yes.
And like you were saying, that transition there at the end, much like the Becky rolling through the spear thing, it was nice to see sort of a different conclusion where it's in the middle of a move that normally would continue the match. Suddenly, you got the Claymore comes in and it's over.
Yes.
And the fact that Dolph doesn't even know what's happened. Funniest part about it was when Drew drags Dolph to the apron, still unconscious, and just loads him up on his shoulders
with
and
both tag team
just
titles.
Carries him to the back. Fucking awesome. So good job to these 4. I'm gonna go match of the
night. I'm right there. I told right now, Seth is my guy. He's the one guy that I'm paying. Much like how Becky is kind of my girl right now, Seth has been my guy for the last 2 years. The one guy where if he's in the ring, if he's cutting a promo, I am 100%. I'm focused on what the guy is saying and doing. So for these guys, definitely cemented match of the night, 100%, no doubt. Moving on to the next match.
Next one, singles match, WWE Championship featuring AJ Styles defeating, quote unquote, Samoa Joe in a 19-minute match.
Okay, before we get to the match itself, this feud has been
subpar.
It's one of those things where it's like, I'm trying to tune into it, I'm trying to allow myself to get into it, but it's just not.
Here's where I think, and this is no fault of either of these guys.
Yeah.
Here's where I think a feud like this falters. So first of all, these guys have a ton of history outside of WWE.
Yes.
You go all the way back to TNA, where they were both staples for years. AJ wasn't the first ever. Was he the first ever X Division champion? Do you know?
I'm very sorry. I barely
It's okay. It's like I figured you might know a little bit about him since he's here now. But AJ, really decorated guy over in TNA. Samoa Joe to a slightly lesser extent. Now they're both here, and I think where you're kind of faltering is the fact that WWE fans don't really have a particular connection with their history.
Mm-hmm.
I think you benefit more putting AJ Styles, who people have grown to like, but he's not a WWE original, pairing him off with somebody who has been established within the WWE. No offense to Joe, I don't find Samoa Joe to be all that entertaining. And I don't know why. Because it's not even that he's necessarily bad. He has hurt a couple of people. It's tough to say this, but he ended Tyson Kidd's career. He fucked up Seth's knee.
I I don't know if you can 100% blame that on Joe. It's just one of the things where the movement sets,
But you still have to protect the other guy,
right?
And so Joe is not a light guy. So having him throw all of his weight the way he did in that moment was not good. I don't think it damaged the knee. I think it just tweaked it, didn't it? It didn't
I think it was a sprain. No, not a re-tear.
Yeah, it wasn't comfortable for Seth, I'm sure. But I don't know. This storyline hasn't really sold me. And was it you who said the thing about not being crazy about them bringing family into it? Or
I think that was the commish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this storyline a little bit off camera,
off air,
and the commish mentioned not being a huge fan of when they bring family members into storylines, and I can get on board with that because I'd rather you just have a personal drive in a storyline between two guys instead of bringing in outside sources. I get it, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty much there because, like, I can even remember, like, at SummerSlam, it just felt like it was just dragging, and I'm like, okay, I love both these guys, but can we just go to the next match? Yeah. I'm really sorry, but what did you think of this match at Hell in a Cell? I thought that it was okay.
I would have preferred... With these two, I would have preferred some sort of gimmick, not a Hell in a Cell match, but I would have preferred some sort of gimmick match.
Which is where we're going now with Super Showdown.
And so you had... So we haven't discussed how the match ended, but you had Samoa Joe about to lock in the Coquina Clutch.
Coquina Clutch, yeah.
Wasn't sure if I was going to say it right. Coquina Clutch.
The sleeper hold.
He goes to lay it back, and AJ rolls through and pins him, but on the far side, and I predicted this while I was watching it, I'm like, because of the fact that you couldn't see the other side.
Other side, yep.
AJ taps out on Joe's far shoulder where the ref doesn't see it.
Ever so slightly.
Yeah. You can tell, but yeah, I knew from the second AJ rolled through that that's probably what was going to happen. And then, sure as shit, Joe's acting like he won because he felt the tap. Even though
AJ's theme was playing.
Even though AJ's music is playing and Joe's like, yeah, wait, what? So, yeah, we're building towards some sort of gimmick match. But, like you said, match was a little slow.
Yeah. The whole rivalry has been a little, yeah. But, anyway, moving on.
Next, we go to the mixed tag team match. 13 minutes of magic with... Ms. and Mrs. and Total Brian. Yeah.
I personally don't have a problem with Brie Bella, but she's been missing a couple steps. And I don't know if this is ring rust. I don't know if it's her trying to get her body back in wrestling mode after pregnancy. But, like, I remember 2 weeks ago on SmackDown, there were 2 spots where she was diving outside of the ring, and I literally had to, like, cringe and kind of, like, put my hands over my own, and I'm like, Brie, careful, don't... Yeah. Match was there.
It happened. The match occurred.
Only on the WWE Network. I thought that maybe Brian and Brie would get one over, but now...
I was surprised that they put Maurice over.
Yeah, so now we're at an 0-2.
Yeah. Which means they're going to have a third one, and that's where you're ultimately going to see Brian win.
But the rivalry, what do you think?
This was one that I personally wanted to see since the Talking Smack.
Yeah.
I knew Brian was out because of the thing, but I was hoping that one day, if he got cleared, we'd get to see this feud. I would have preferred the wives stay out of it. I didn't have a problem with Maurice handing Miz the brass knuckles in the first place, but I had the same reaction as you did, is that both women in this match are recent-ish mothers.
Yes.
Who have not... Has Maurice had a match up before this one?
Well,
I'm sure she's been training off screen.
There was the SmackDown match that match that she had with Brie Bella, but she was like outside the ring for like 9 minutes out of the 10 minutes of that match.
Yeah, so you have two non-factors.
Yeah.
Maurice was okay back in her Divas champion days, and then she took fucking 6 years off, 7 years, a long time.
Yeah.
And now she's back as basically the Miz's manager. And then you bring Brie in, who Brie, admittedly, the worst of the two Bella twins.
Really? You think so?
I think Nikki's more technically sound. I like that Brie has the connection to Brian, because Brian helps his wife try to be cleaner.
Yes.
I just think Nikki has better execution normally. I'm not a huge fan of either one.
Yeah, I mean...
But, like I said, then you've got Brie coming back from nowhere to side with Brian in this match, and neither of the women were stellar.
Yeah.
And then they're the ones who finished the match. I would have preferred you have the men finish the match, since it's their fucking story. But
I think this is their attempt on extending the rivalry, making it go a little bit more, you know?
I don't know where you go with this, though. Like, do you do another mixed tag match at TLC, or...
You know, not a bad idea. Tornado mixed tag team match with TLC. Personally.
You want to put two moms in a TLC match? Is that what you want to do, Sean?
Well, I mean, Stephanie did wrestle after becoming a mother, so...
Well...
I mean, she almost had her arm ripped off by Ronda Rousey, so go figure.
The horror. Speaking of which, do we want to move to the next one?
Yes.
Well, you got Miss Rousey with Natalya defeating Alexa Bliss with Alicia Fox and Mickie James via submission, which has apparently either led to either a kayfabe arm injury or a legitimate one.
Yeah.
We'll find out in due time. But Alexa pulled from Mixed Match Challenge tonight due to the aftermath of this match. Now, is it possible that, like I've said, Ronda tossed her and tweaked her shoulder to where now there's a pinched nerve? Absolutely, Ronda. But we'll find out about that. Point is, Ronda Rousey goes over with submission in a 12-minute match. Thoughts?
With all due respect, literally, I mean this with all due respect, get rid of everyone who's in the ring and around the ring except for Alexa Bliss.
And the ref?
No ref could say, that's fine.
He can count to 1, 2, 3.
I'm talking about competitors. Just to really go down the line, it's like Mickie James, phenomenal athlete, multi-time champion, definitely has a place in the Hall of Fame.
And your friend's slutty mom. Did I say that on air in the last episode? Well, she was kind of dressed like your friend's slutty mom, but I mean that's probably the costumers.
Okay. No, yeah, Mickie over the last year and a half has really not been doing anything, you know. So I'm like, if you're not doing anything, just go, you know. Alicia Fox.
But she's got to wrestle Lita at Evolution.
Completely random. I don't know. Trish and Alexa, we get it. More than we get it.
Yeah, two solid people from two different eras. That makes sense. But,
often compared. Yeah,
but we've discussed with that Mickie James Lita match specifically. You have two people who were from the same era. Why are we facing them off? Like, give us a fucking dream match. That's not a dream match.
Alicia Fox, bless her, is still there, trying to put something together.
Dressed a little bit like the ghost from your attic.
Pilot. Natalya, again, bless you. You're still there. You are a veteran. You
Dressed
are
like a cat.
Meow.
Sorry, I'm done jumping in.
No, it's fine. Ronda, I'm not really a big fan. I'm sorry, I'm not. I just felt like she needs more time to improve her promos and actually have more moves than arm bars and arm drags and
arm bars. Move number 78.
What's 79?
The jump over toe flip face lock. I got my hands on the Shockmasters list.
So the GOTF?
Yeah.
I mean, so far I've been bashing everybody in, but I'm sorry, it's completely irrelevant. This match was meh. I will admit, Ronda's WrestleMania match was great. Her Money in the Bank match was great. This match, I could see that they were trying, but it looked clumsy, and it was Alexa just kept on kicking Ronda's ribs, like just time after time after time. I'm like, okay,
which was part of the story is Ronda's ribs are hurt, so
Yeah.
Alexa's trying to take what advantage she has.
Yeah.
I think the point now to counter you a little bit.
Yeah.
The reason for having Alexa and Mickey at ringside was because of the fact that Ronda's such a big star that it's hard to believe that in a genuine fight, Alexa Bliss, no offense to her, could beat Ronda Rousey.
Right.
So you stack the deck against Ronda.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, with shenanigans. And you make it seem close, like, oh, Alexa might win because she's got all these tools, and then Ronda is still taps her in 2 seconds. Which, again, who knows? Maybe Alexa tapped out real fast because her arm was actually bothering her. I don't know.
Maybe. It does look uncomfortable when you look at it. Well, if you remember the SummerSlam match that she had with Alexa, there's that moment where she, like, grabs her fingers and just pulls the arm all the way back. Now, I know Alexa's got that whole double jointed thing that she could do, but I'm like, no, you're really twisting her arm right now.
Yeah. You wanna do something that we might be intrigued by with Ronda and not concerned for somebody's health.
Right.
Let's bring Baszler in and just have those two beat the shit out of each other.
I think that's eventually going to be.
That's gonna be your
WrestleMania 35. I'm calling it right now.
You think so?
I am calling it right now.
I don't know. I feel like no, never mind. That wouldn't work.
What?
I was gonna say they could do the 4 horsewomen versus the 4 horsewomen thing at WrestleMania, and that could be your main event. But I don't know if that actually has enough name power.
I'm a fan of that, but considering where we are with Charlotte and Becky, that's going to be too soon to, like, okay, let's become good friends to take on.
It would have to be like one of those things where Charlotte is getting her ass kicked by a heel Ronda Rousey or something, and you have Becky come out and say the only one who gets to kick her ass is me.
Oh, that's Sasha Banks and Bayley.
No,
vibes.
I know. Well, I think it depends on the way that it's delivered. I think if Becky did it because I think we've kind of seen that same kind of thing with Stone Cold back in the day. That sort of like, I'm the Hellraiser, you don't get to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If she does it in this character, I think it's fine. Sasha and Bayley are way too saccharine to get away with that kind of shit. Like, it's sort of this artificial sweetness, like a Diet Coke. And that's why I don't like those two anymore.
Or Mountain Dew Kickstarters.
Yeah. Brought to you by Mountain Dew Kickstarter.
Which you can see all the announcers drinking at all the pay-per-views, which is available on the WWE Network for a non-negotiable but very reasonable price of only $9.99.
$9.99?
It's not $10.
Not $100.
Not $1 million.
Not $1 billion.
It's just $9.99. Moving on.
Final match of the night.
Really?
Sort of. I guess it's a match. Is it really a match if it doesn't have a conclusion?
Is it really a match if Roman Reigns is in it?
So you got Senor Roman Reigns facing Mr. Braun Strowman.
This is his Money in the Bank cash-in.
In a Money in the Bank cash-in with Mick Foley as your special guest referee to essentially celebrate the 20-year anniversary of their Hell in a Cell match. And the match ends in a no contest. Sean, take it away.
Well, I don't know if this is on Mick Foley. I don't know if this is just the wrestlers kind of being out of their comfort zone with not having a regular ref, but I think there was 2 calls that Mick Foley made where I was like, I don't know, Mick, that looked like a 3 count to me. So, I love you and all. I get it. You're a veteran. You're established. But the first one looked like a 3 count to me. Just saying. With that aside, the match was okay. They were using a bunch of weapons here and there, so I'm like, okay, kendo sticks and tables, and they used the table, right? Yeah. Spears to the table.
Stairs.
So, okay, they were doing something with the structure, which is fine. But then we get to my idea that I was pulling for the last 4 weeks was put all 6 men in a cell. You didn't, but we still got the same result, is the Shield coming out and Drew and Dolph coming out, and we go to the top of the cell, and then 2 guys wind up falling down. But then I was legitimately surprised. Brock Lesnar comes out of nowhere and kicks down the door, a couple F5s, leaves, and we end in a no contest. Don't you have a question, Dan?
Why are you interfering in this match?
No, other question.
Why would you end it in a no contest?
Yes.
Why would you end this match in a no contest, WWE? Just give it a conclusive ending. It has so much more impact. And honestly, I think a lot of people are still tired of Brock Lesnar right now. I know I am. I've cooled on him. I think kind of in the same vein as to what I've pitched with Roman Reigns. If he just disappears for a little while, especially given the fact that they just beat this whole part-time champion thing into the ground leading up to Reigns, you build all this animosity with the fans of he's never here, he's never defending the title, and then surprise, we're supposed to give a shit that he's back to try and reclaim his title? Why would we want that? No, you send him away for a minute, let the fans go, okay, well now we're back to having a champion that defends the belt, and then you watch these matches, and even if Reigns sneaks out the win over Braun, taking his cash-in, it happens. But now where do we go? Because I haven't watched any clips from Raw. I read results where it says that Brock is apparently looking to at some point come back and face these guys for the title.
Yeah, the Crown Jewel pay-per-view.
Yeah, is that the
Saudi
Arabian one?
Yeah.
It'll probably be another cage match where Braun Strowman gets speared through the cage this time. I don't care. I don't care about Lesnar right now. I'd rather we focus on the stars that are actually there from week to week, and the people that we actually care about. I stopped caring a long time ago about Brock Lesnar, and then he came back. I'm like, okay. And they did a couple of good things, but now I'm cooled on him again because I'd rather you just work with what you have, for the most part. Guest appearances are fine, but Brock's not a full-timer.
No, he's not, and it's one of those things where it's like you said, we don't know what his status is. So, it's like, on Raw, Paul Heyman comes out cutting a promo, Brock Lesnar is not there, so once again you have Strowman and Roman there. Again, I feel like what you are trying to do is, you can simply have one feud here, is the 6-man match, and I'm going to keep on going back to that, but you keep on trying to bring all these other elements. It's like, no, leave everything out. Just let it be these 6 men. Let them settle it by the end of the year, and then we can split everybody up. Because I know they want to do the Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins, but now it's switched. Dolph and Drew, they could be doing something. Strowman and Roman, they're probably, after they're done, each man isn't probably going to go off doing different things. But it's like, you don't even have your 6 participants in one match, and now you bring Lesnar on top of it. So it's like, where are we going with this?
Yeah,
there's
you have him filled in as your 7th wheel.
Yeah, who will be the 7th man? He was the 7th man. Anyway, pretty okay pay-per-view. Like I said, it's I think it will be remembered by the time the year is done, because like you had Backlash earlier this year where it's like, what happened again?
Backlash happened?
Yeah.
We had that.
So, I think it was a pretty okay pay-per-view. Some surprises, like the Becky and Charlotte finish, the tag team finish, Brock Lesnar coming back. So, a good dash of some surprises here and there, but it's also some really weird moments. But I think only time will tell as we head to Evolution, the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view, the Super Showdown. So, you got all these things coming up, and we really don't know what's going to settle each feud.
Yeah.
So
I think WWE, now that I'm going back real quick, I think WWE has been doing a decent job of having a good first half, and then they can't seal the deal.
Yeah.
And I think it might just be because their world title feuds are just kind of there right now. Like, we cared more about the tag title match. We cared more about the SmackDown women's title match. And then everything from match 5 to the end, you're kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
Eh. I wouldn't mind seeing your 6-man match at TLC with the add-in of the winner takes all for the titles.
There you go.
That would be kind of fun. Because then it has an added element that it's not Hell in a Cell, but there's still some sort of aggressive element. You hang you could, I guess, do all 4 belts. You could hang all 4 belts or have Seth drop the IC title over here. before the event, and then you have the tag belts and the world title, and then whoever pulls the belts down, their team gets all the titles. And I think that would be an interesting thing to see. But
no, yeah, I'm absolutely a fan of that idea. I truly feel like if you want to end this whole thing between the Shield and Strowman and Dolph and Drew, you got to do it in one match where all 6 guys are in the ring at the same time, because splitting it off like, oh, one match here, one match there is not exactly
because there's no point in bringing them together at all if that's what you're going to do.
Exactly. So anyway, guys, there you go. We just reviewed Hell in a Cell 2018, which you can watch again on the WWE Network for only $9.99. Thanks again for joining us. On behalf of Dan the Man and myself, we are signing off, and we will see you all next time.